The 9 teams whose season is done and dusted, time's up. Let's debrief them quickly. Canberra Raiders. The question I'm going to ask you through this is what went wrong. And I don't think for the Canberra Raiders, I don't think that's the right term, what went wrong, because I thought that, considering things had a good season, I suppose the Jamal Fogarty, that loss through the middle of the year, that was a tough one.
It's not. It's more around, like, how can they win more games, right? Because they've been on the cusp a lot. I think they need to find a different way to win games. If they're not got that gritty nature, they don't seem to win. So I think their attack needs to evolve. But I'll tell you what, Fogarty's was a miss, but Tarpany was the best player.
By one.
Country mile.
Going forward next year, I've got them in between 6 and 10, probably around the same spot. A couple of extra wins will push them into the 8.
Well, that's why they need to find different ways to win. Because if they lose a couple of those games by 2 or 4, they need some more firepower to score those points.
Right, Dolphins. Now, this is a legitimate question. You go, what went wrong? Because in the middle part of the season, Coop, they were on fire. They looked like they were on course for top 4. The wheels just came off the last third of the season.
There's a couple of times where Katoa, if he had decided to do something else, there's probably a better chance of winning the game. But his upside is pretty good. Nick Ream had a career best year. Hammer was good as all. He's the point of difference. But I think if their spine become a little bit more experienced and can manage games better, like the biggest one is they led Penrith at Penrith by a bit with 20 minutes to go. If Isaiah Katoa takes that shot at a field goal or does something, there's a win that they probably need to get in the 8.
A big question here for Christian Wolf. There's only ever been Tim Sheens that has taken the baton from Wayne and made a success ongoing. And that was the Canberra side, or that Canberra side that was about to boom, the Green Machine. He was co-coached with Don Ferner. He leaves, goes back to the Broncos. Sheens takes the side, and away they go. Every other coach... They've gone off a cliff. It's like, when Jason Amicho took over, I said to a mate, mate, Wayne's left a turd under the bed somewhere. He can smell it, he just can't find it.
Right.
Well, I reckon, mate.
I can't follow that up. That's a great analogy, sweet.
That was good, wasn't it?
Dragons.
Great season for Flano. Great season for Flano. Big improvement. The fact they went into that, at the end they were in a chance to make the 8 and they'll be disappointed they didn't make the 8. That's a big improvement. It's just getting used to winning again.
It's almost like they've had bad habits for a long period of time and the bad habits turned up at the wrong time for them. I don't like you. They choked. They had 8th spot in their grasp. All they had to do was win one of those games. And they conceded a lot of points. Their intensity went out. That's the one thing that they showed. When their forward pack was dominant and playing physical, that's when they played their best football. And when they didn't, that's when they conceded heaps of points.
Broncos. Look, this is my opinion. I'll stand by it. Last year's success and the adulation and the expectation that came with that success poisoned the well. And as far as next season's concerned, the bottom line is they need a lot of self-assessment if they're going to go anywhere. Yeah,
when you sit there and sieve through, like, the football reasons why, like, you could go attack, defence, discipline, errors, whatever it is. But the thing that underpins that whole thing is I think the Broncos last year, individually and as a team, had a real, like, sort of laser focus to improve and get better. And I don't think they had that this year. And that's ultimately why they missed out on finals. I don't think they worked hard enough individually to improve their game and ultimately collectively to do it. Because, it was super disappointing.
Just think of the mindset there, Coops. You said something there, and I think to myself, a lot of teams will get to a grand final and get beaten, and there's 2 ways of thinking. You either go away filthy and you say, we've failed, or you go off triumphant and say, we didn't win it, but fantastic season. I think with the Broncos, it was the latter.
The example is, Penrith got beaten by the Melbourne Storm in that grand final, and they came back in that off-season, started working harder. Look what they've done. They've improved each year. Parramatta got beaten in a grand final.
Bush.
And bang. Brisbane got beaten in a grand final, went bang. If they don't work hard enough to improve,
Bunnies too. Bunnies was another one.
Bunnies,
Another one. The Warriors. This is my greatest disappointment, just simply because I've loved to have seen them win the competition. A lot of expectation. Look, a lot of things didn't happen. And I said this last week, I thought Luke Metcalf being absent for a long stretch, I think it really affected the balance of their attack. I think that was a contributing factor.
Yeah, I think the Warriors got comfortable. Like they played some really predictable, slow-moving, sort of lacking intensity consistently. But then their last performance against the Sharks showed that they can do it.
Yeah.
So where has that been
Where's
for
it been?
15 weeks prior?
Best player, Mitch Barnett?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, Mitch Barnett.
Origin
Next
player.
year, so no Sean Johnson, no Fanua Blake, but they get James Fisher-Harris. Yeah. Warriors are always a very difficult side to get a handle on. Whether
I think the Fisher-Harris signing is more about spirit and example of what a winner looks like as opposed to adding value to the way they play.
Yeah.
Like, I think what he's done to that forward pack at Penrith, i.e. Moses Leota, he will do to that next front rower, really.
Now, the Titans. The Titans going into this season, Coop, they typified for me why it was going to be such a tight competition. Because I thought with Des going there, all those players a year old, I thought, mate, this team's going to play finals. I don't know if it just took them a long time to adjust to Des's methods. I'm not sure exactly what it was. The loss of Tino was a big one, but trying to work out the puzzle, which was the spine, a lot going on.
The thing about the Titans for me is they need to get a good balance on both sides of the ball. Their defence needs to complement their attack, and their attack needs to complement the defence. At the moment, it's either they defend really well and win games, or they defend bad and their attack is so good that it's firepower and scoring points. They just need to find that perfect balance between that.
Parramatta, what went wrong? Well, there's numerous things, one of which was, no offence, like Brad did a great job, but they probably hung on with Brad a season too long. That's my opinion. I think that they needed to change the formula. I think the players got too comfortable under Brad, in my opinion. The loss of Mitchell Moses, of course, the middle of the year, and Gutho, that was a factor, but they never looked like a final side. He's got a bit to wade through there, you know, Rolsey, even just in attitude. Because what's a lot of the players interviewed? Like, if I've got a new coach coming in, and they say, Matty, you're looking for the roles, you can't wait. Fantastic, new start. Here is a great bloke. But there was very, you know, sort of that, you know. It was almost like a resentment that Brad was gone or Trent wasn't going to be the coach.
And we're also talking a team that played in a grand final 2 years ago. Something for me tells you that they lack the inspiration to want to climb that mountain again, because they did it to get there. Then all of a sudden, they've dropped off. They 2 years ago, they were playing in grand final, and on the weekend, they played in the Spoon Bowl.
South was a disastrous season. What went wrong? Well, the chickens come home to roost. We've said that before. They've been a side that has, you know, there's been carelessness around their football. There's been lack of focus. There's been distractions. You know, Jason Demetrio clearly wasn't the man. Wayne goes there next year, but mate, it's going to take more than just a bit of magic dust from Wayne, isn't it?
Yeah, they lacked intensity, consistency, all those things that make you a good team. This was a club that's on its knees in the first half of the season. They were bad, really bad. And if it was anyone other than Wayne Bennett, you're probably thinking, where's light at the end of the tunnel? But Wayne's got this ability to make Cody and Latrell work harder than what they normally do. And if they can do that, they're a good team.
Yeah, they are. Tigers, look, what went wrong before we get to that? We'll talk generally before we get to that last game. They just didn't quite have the experience or the confidence in key positions to win consistently. Last performance, Coop, was a shocker. It was. I'd hope that they were embarrassed by it, because Coop, in that month leading up to that last game, there was a real great feeling about the Tigers. You know, the fans were turning up, everyone was excited. You got Luai coming and Taruva and so on, and I couldn't believe what they served up in that last game. Yeah,
Craig Bellamy always used to say, at this time of year, your good and bad habits show up. So if you've improved and got more good habits, then your good footy kicks in. If your bad habits there, the Tigers for me, to playing against the Parramatta Eels, who conceded 5 tries in the last 10 minutes the week before. All the Tigers needed to do was be disciplined and make their tackles and hold on to the ball, and they would have run through the Parramatta Eels at some stage.
Yep.
But what they did, Coruscant got sin-binned,
Yeah.
they turned over errors, they were flamboyant from the start. And Galvin is the shining light, but if you're investing a lot of time, like we did about the Dolphins, in young kids in key positions to make all the decisions in a game, you're going to have a lot of learnings as opposed to good times. Yeah, that was one of the more disappointing performances of the season overall.
Some of the worst defensive efforts I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh, well, for the Tigers and those other sides, 2025 will come around pretty quick, but looking forward to this week, Coops.